Welcome everybody to another episode of face-to-face company episode. And friends, today we are very happy to share with you that we are going to talk about a very interesting IT company by the name of 3i Infotech. Mr. Thompson, thank you very much for sparing your valuable time for our episode here. And we would definitely like that you share your insights and your inputs for this program so that we can know your company better.
Thank you, Avinash. Thanks a lot for having me here. It's a great pleasure for me to kind of, come and articulate the company's way forward. Thank you.
Okay. So, Mr. Thompson, we know that the product business was sold to Apex Partners some time back. Now, currently, if you could tell us what is the business model of the company and what is the kind of roadmap the company is using, looking at to grow in the next say 2 to 3 years. If you could give us some color on that.
Sure, Avinash, just to kind of, probably refresh our memories, because I've spoken about this in multiple forums and so the context. Once we sold off our product division, now it's almost 14 months since we and which helped 3i to become debt-free. That's the good part. So what me and my team inherited for debt, that's the positive. And what we all business, which pays our bills. So that is the second positive for the organization. And that is what we call as the run business. Just to keep it simple, what we inherited, we call it the run business. We have to run it efficiently, maximize profits. And then we said we are going to break it into how we want to grow. So the grow business is fundamentally, we want to be in parity with any other services company, or in fact, be a challenger to any other services company, and see how we can challenge. Because see, for 3i now, we cannot afford, or we don't have the luxury to do what others do, because we have lost a lot of time. So we have to be innovative. We have to challenge ourselves in line with the new 3i. No longer stand for ICICI. It is invent, incubate, and innovate. So that's the mantra in which we are running. And the third pillar, products. We also have to build new products, new IP, which is very important, because ultimate services company who's going to offer productized services, platform-based services, and also new products also in focused on edge computing. So we want to be a leader in edge computing. Maybe next 3 years down the line, when we have another interview, we'll be talking about how we have been able to lead the space in edge computing. So that is what we want to be there in the short to medium term, Avinash.
And so, I mean, this is definitely a very articulate answer, Mr. Thompson. Now, tell me one thing: which are the key segments within the services vertical where 3i Infotech is looking very aggressively? If you could share some segments where already some headway has been made, and maybe in some new segments which the company wants to make going forward.
See, our traditional strong basis, since we were born out of a bank, vertical is BFSI. So we have been strong in BFSI because you are born out of a bank, and that gives us a good pedigree. Went through our upset domain knowledge and capability in the banking and financial services. Also very nicely split between infrastructure management and application development. We call it the AAA vertical, which is application automation and analytics. IMS is your infrastructure management services. Now the new age called digital, we got automation inside IMS, infrastructure management, and then we call it the AAA, which is our mainstay. These are like bread and butter businesses for the organization. We also have our traditional business process services. So we are split between all the three: infrastructure, application, and business process. Now in the grow, what we are doing, to your focus area, we are doing is we are now bringing the digital elements to it and try and see if we can be cloud first. So from our new branded line of services, where I can talk about more. Cloud first is very important. Digital first is where we are now trying to see how to run our automation COEs along with our application COEs and specialize for now. We are also analytics as a service. So these are broad, some of our bread and butter services. We are also investing in a lot of new lines of services, which is the build side of it, which is a whole new aspect. Maybe I'll cover that down the conversation. But broadly, these are our current focus areas. So to summarize, mainstay, we are doing that. Plus, we have presence in all other industries. But now, as a focus area for this year, we are investing in telecom, media, and entertainment and healthcare. As two new verticals, we are focusing. And in the build side, we are focusing on trying to solve some business cases in manufacturing.
Okay. Mr. Thompson, geographically, I was reading your presentation. I think the emerging markets and the global two groups. Apart, of course, in India also you do cover, various customers. Now, I was seeing that the global markets and the emerging markets pieces were a significant. Is this going to continue going forward also in the next, say, couple of years, or are we going to see some more activity, for even the Indian market also pretty attractive?
Very important question, Avinash, you're asking, because I'll try and do a rejoinder to the previous question and try and answer that in this context. For example, when I took over, I took a short-term kind of a 3-year target of around 1,000 crores actually. Okay. And then by 20, be a $1 billion company, discounting any inorganic growth. So fundamentally, we said organically we'll grow to this thing. Obviously, inorganic will be more than that, as a target we took for ourselves. So one of the top challenges people used to ask me is, boss, it's impossible because like any other traditional, services company, you cannot grow at that pace. How will you grow at that pace? It's impossible, So then I used to overcome this challenge by saying that because you're trying to AI as an opportunity to break away from that and do things differently. So one of the key things which I articulated very clearly and which we stand today, 9 years or 8 years, what we have right now, India, because it's a large economy, whether you have ups and downs, so any global organization has to have a very, very clear India-focused strategy. Okay. I foresee almost 35% of the revenues will come from India. Only India. In that split in that $1 billion we are talking about, so that is the important strengthening our India business region, business unit itself. Because India needs very different thinking. There are two businesses. One is India to India business and India export business. Both has to go together. Now, if you look at traditionally all our IT services peer,
yeah, exactly.
Nobody focus on the India to India because it's very, very difficult. India to India separates the men from the. In India, you have to be profitable with a very low gross margin.
Exactly.
Right? It's extremely difficult. I'm saying that's to your question, India will be a very important strategy, and most of our build strategies also, we are now trying and then globalize it. Whether you take right from your drones to edge computing to whatever it is, we can pilot in India and then scale it. So the strategy is to learn in India, make money abroad also. So it's very, very important because here we'll be able to fail. Right. And to your question, GBR and EBR will continue to be our very big markets for us. But if you look at the headwinds which are coming in global business, let's say, for example, North America, if you look at it, one of our biggest geographies, 50% of our revenues come from North America. Now, the other favorite question which you might ask me is, with all this gloom and doom across the world and, you got the IT which is happening, if you ask me, and there are people saying already in North America is in, or US is in a recession. Now, if you look at it, poised, Avinash, because a lot of the big players will be under tremendous pressure. reliable to take additional workload, take additional share of wallet. So for somebody like us, look at it. I have no pressure. See, tomorrow, if I come and tell you, Avinash, you know what? I have improved my EBITDA from where I am today to 10%, you're going to be very happy. Correct. Whereas any of the tier 1 players, the pressure, he cannot go below 26%.
Exactly.
See, straight away I have a 16% gap there. So for us, it's a big opportunity in US and UK. I am seeing for smaller companies like us who are agile, who are faster, could be greater challenges, and we can get huger share of wallet in these territories.
As far as Mr. Thompson, the emerging markets goes, typically the emerging part of your $1 billion strategy, because you mentioned about India and large markets like US and UK, other emerging in the next say 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I'll tell you the other big market. One is the traditional Asian market. You take any of your ASEAN territory, Malaysia, Indonesia, Cambodia, Vietnam. That's a traditional Asian heartland, if I may look at it, is a big opportunity. The similar is Africa. Okay. So Middle East and Africa is a big opportunity again, and Africa in particular. To enter with our telco strategy also. The reason I'm saying that is telecom customers will not necessarily only be customers for 3i. We are also working sell through telcos to their customers. So B2B2B, and sell with telcos to their consumers also, B2B2C. So this will be a big opportunity in these territories because this will be a huge volume business also. Because they are very similar to India. Margins might be tight, but the volumes are huge. If you're looking to a telco's customer in ASEAN, it's massive for their security, for their cloud. Telco's customers want cloud. So the telco says, guys, you just be the white label guy who will manage it for me in my brand. That's about it. Correct.
Yeah. So, Mr. Thompson, nicely articulated again. Now, let me tell you, I was reading your conference call transcript. In fact, I attended that also.
Sure thing.
Also looking at some business, from Ukraine. Like, Ukraine was also mentioned in your conference call transcript. So anything which you people are planning, because I believe there was some business there, but because of the war, things got a little delayed. So can you please share some color on that aspect, please?
See, Ukraine, it's very unfortunate, very, very sad for me personally. I will tell you, in fact, we are about to sign our MOUs to, use Ukraine product development hub because the talent is phenomenal. I'm telling you, the talent is phenomenal talent. Personally, I've leveraged Ukraine, even my previous avatars in Lebanon, actually. Okay, in Lviv and Kyiv. But unfortunately, because of the war, we couldn't use it. If you want working out of Poland, and after all this migration happening, and we are now, it's very surprising. You'll find that if I do a benchmark of capability versus cost today, they are maybe on par with in Bangalore today. So in fact, in some cases, even today, my Java resources in India is more costlier than my Ukraine, if you ask me. Yeah. So I'm saying it's a very important strategy. Unfortunately for the war, it kind of got slowed down for us, but we are now trying to leverage the workforce on a virtual basis there as well.
Okay. Mr. Thompson, now let's come on to some financial data points which you have shared. You all have given 60 crores of revenue and a positive EBITDA of 15 crores. Now, in summary, if you could tell us what is the strategy progressively. I think things are definitely changing. As you rightly said, new territories, new products are being focused on. and your hard work is rewarded, can we expect this guidance to be slightly better than what actually you all are planning? So 15 crore is definitely a good number, but my sense is that will this get accelerated in the coming 2 to 3 years? Because we are looking at it as a multi-billion opportunity over the next say 3 to 5 years. So strategies you all are adopting to actually come and now become EBITDA positive?
See, there are two parts to it. Okay, maybe I'll try and answer it because you asked a bit of mid-term, short-term questions also. So I'll try and answer that in perspective. Just to set in context, we set a goal for ourselves saying that 1,000 crores, 100 crores, end of 3 years as a run rate. Okay. So already, maybe I can say on a lighter note, I was a little naive because when I took over, I did not know really where from it. We are going for the target. And just to be very, very clear, we want to hit that number. Even here, if you told to the investors also, I said this 760, 15 crores is like a blood coming. Come what may, we will do it. Trying to do that. To your point, definitely we are aiming for an upside. Okay. The upside is we wanted to, it's public domain again. We said that we want to exit this year with a 760 crores revenue, 15 crores and 100 crore order book. Okay. Now, the 100 crore order book, we want to look at some of the new lines of businesses, Avinash. That's we want to change the revenue mix. So let's say, can we do some more Oracle COE we are talking about, or a cloud first, or a digital first lines of businesses, or cognitive computing. All these good stuff where we are investing money today. Okay. Because it's a tight. It's on one side, I need to keep the P&L, other side, I need to invest in the build also. It's an extremely tight rope. It's very, very difficult if you see in my shoes. Now, to your point, now how much of that we can convert to revenue could be an upside this year. Okay. Somebody asked me this question. I said, honestly speaking, I want to hit 30 crores minimum. Okay. Now, what comes to the velocity of these orders, we have to book on time and recognize revenue as well beyond what we have in hand right now. Okay. So that is where it is. But definitely we are trying to then committing on an EBITDA number. I would say, Avinash, I want to exit with more predictable business where I have confirmed order books, better quality of revenue, so that we don't have any surprises.
Exactly. I think that's a great thought, Mr. Thompson. And I think that is what even the markets would definitely like from you, because consistency is very important. Mr. Full-fledged into the services businesses. If you could, tell us some of your nearest competitors, at least from peer-to-peer basis, maybe not, the larger companies, but within your size and scale, which could be the companies which we could look at, comparable kind of.
See, the problem in Avinash, we are, as I said, though we have been there for 27 years, we had our ups and downs. We hit almost $1 billion in 2008 by inorganic growth. We have come down to 100. We have gone our own ups and downs as a company. Very difficult to benchmark yourself today, because see, if you look at services business, you are a baby because you never led by services. You are always leading by product, right? Now it's a very tough question to answer, but I will tell you, if I look at it, who are the companies we want to probably benchmark and attack? Let's say, for example, I'll give you an example.
I think, Mr. Thompson, if you can tell, what is your aspirational kind of target to compare yourself with the larger.
I'll tell you, I have a huge respect. I have said this also. I have a fantastic, serial entrepreneur. Even today, if you look at it, Happiest Minds is a great company. It's built. For me, internally, I see, boss, your first milestone is, can I be an Happiest Minds? Okay. But the only but now in parallel, we are also building our IPs. We have got resident entrepreneurs who are building IPs. We are building our platforms. We are building our products. So in 2 years, we'll be a very evolved company. Maybe you will start asking the question, 3i is a very different animal altogether. But today, in the services business, I would say, Happiest Minds is step number 1. Okay. If my stock price can become 800 rupees, I'll be very, very happy. Okay. Right. That's my first step. Correct.
Yeah. No, in fact, Mr. Thompson, thank you for that input. Now, tell me one thing that, human resources are the most critical, variables for IT services businesses. Now, tell me one thing, looking at the kind of attrition levels we have seen in larger companies, what is the scenario for 3i Infotech, and how is the company looking at this challenge, at least in the very near term?
See, we are same industry, we are all fighting in the same pond. It's a relative statement. Even we have gone through the same problems. If time high of 26 bad only, it's 28% of whatever. I'm just saying as an example. But I see a silver lining now. I'll tell you why. The silver lining now, it has changed dramatically the last maybe 2 months, I would say. Okay. Now the bust of a lot of these startups, you won't believe it today, a huge line of people who want to come back.
Okay.
With the same salary they left.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So the tide is turning now.
Exactly.
Tide is turning now. People are okay to work for a more reliable company at a lower salary. Okay. Than going and pursuing something, because they all went for double the salaries. It's unaffordable for any of us, actually. Let's be very clear about it. It was an artificial inflation. Second thing we are doing is, as we are speaking, we'll get a press release now in 3 days. We are opening our first Tire Center of Excellence in Tirunelveli. Our Oracle COE we are opening in Tirunelveli. It is going to be like a branded one. We are calling bringing these young, fresh engineers and training them, getting them certified by Oracle, and they make them industry ready. We are doing that in the first batch of 100 people are already hired in Tirunelveli. Similarly, we are going to create this across the country, like Guwahati, all these places, one north, south, east, west. And Tirunelveli is not restricted to there'll be a Tirunelveli in UK. So that's the model we are now trying to do. Okay. And that will overcome some of the challenges you're talking about. It keeps our costs low, highly motivated people. And for me, my inspiration has been from Mr. Wembu of Zoho, who has built his entire product development center in Tenkasi. Okay. So why we chose Tirunelveli, it is just 1 hour from Tenkasi. It's a huge inspiration. Backbone of Zoho sitting in Tenkasi.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think great thing to know, great initiative. Tell me one thing, last year, I was seeing, your March 22 and March 21, your average collection periods have come down. Efforts the company has made to ensure that working capital has improved, because, in terms of number of days, the numbers have come down significantly, from almost 100 odd days to 55, 60 odd days. So will this trend continue going forward also, hopefully?
No, see, you have no choice. Sometimes necessity is sometimes the mother of all inventions, right? You look at it, we're sitting on our limits with the bankers and whatever it is. So for us, collection becomes paramount. You won't believe it. Now, the 14 months we have been in helm, we have paid our employees on the dot on the last working day. Okay. And because that has been really, top-notch collections, proactively working on it, working to the entire billing to cash cycle. And we have brought in all automations, analytics, whatever we brought it for ourselves. So, and the policy we have taken is, we just practice what we preach first. So whatever technology, I will start using it first.
Okay. Okay. Another question, Mr. Thompson, which I would like to ask, market, application analytics plus MI as well as artificial intelligence. Now, tell me one thing, in India, with the growth of the e-commerce sector, with a lot of, small businesses now coming on the internet-driven platforms, do you intend to focus on those smaller set of, industries, sectors, businesses, which, obviously offer a very large opportunity and have a various kind of IT kind of requirements? So will that also figure out in your IT strategy going forward?
Absolutely. In fact, there are 2 parts to your question. One is, all these next generation technology, we called it under build, which is cognitive computing, AI, ML, deep learning. We have blockchain. As I'm speaking to you, we have set up a development center in IIT Research Park, Chennai. Okay. And there we have brought, I call them the Einsteins. All the Einsteins are sitting there and they are trying to build good stuff. Okay. So that's happening. You'll read about it in our press releases. But coming back to the mid-market, to speaking to you, we are now setting up our hub in Malaysia, and we want to do the similar thing in India as well. Okay. And in Malaysia, we have set up this Anure Cloud First strategy in partnership with Oracle, which is exactly how to digitize the SMB. So for them, it is like SMB in a box. Whether it's cloud, it's security, it's application, it's automation, it's analytics, everything is available for them. So we configure it for the industry, and it's all ready to use for them. In fact, we are launching it in August because it's a very important initiative in Malaysia, because we are doing it for the Malaysian market. It's the same thing we want to launch in India. So see, India is much larger. It needs more. It's like a small state. Then we want to do it in India, maybe one of the states, and focus on the SMB segment, cloud first, digital first strategy.
Mr. Thompson, one important question is that, now as you mentioned that US market, there are some GDP also comes out. If it is in negative, then technically, it goes into recession. Like apart from recession, any other major risks in your business? Like COVID was a very big kind of a game changer, not only for the IT, but even for the other manufacturing sectors. What in your assessment would be the key risks for you now going forward, like at least for the next couple? We assume that normalcy can come back to your business, can it come back to the entire service related segment within the IT sector? Because, these are things which are completely unpredictable. So anything which you have at the back of your mind, which could be the kind of risk which would be the biggest in terms of your company specific and overall
for us, Avinash, is not for us. For everybody, I'll tell you, everybody has to change the mix of business. IT industry predominantly, though we talk about a lot of stuff, fundamentally more than 50-60% of our businesses are forms of time and material kind of models, right? If we can have nice English words to use it. This is across the industry. Okay. We don't have skin in the game, right? Now, the problem is when you change the mix, your risk also goes up, but then it becomes project related, business KPIs are linked, outcomes are linked. Then, but what happens, that also gives you stability in a different way, because the customer cannot get away from you, because you are part of his business. If you're only from a time and material or an FT based business or whatever it is, any day you can just shut it down, reduce it, whatever. So that risk is there for the entire industry itself.
Exactly.
Right. So we are now trying to innovate on the engagement models, Avinash, because that's the only way we can have stickiness. Exactly. How do you change the engagement models into more managed services, more managed outcomes, more outcome driven? Skin in the game on both sides is one. Second, as an opportunity I see is, if the companies, let's say the larger companies, don't change the model, some of us can, the moment I go and give an outcome-led model with a guaranteed savings, he will going to give me the business. Why will he stay with it? If we are able to protect our small business, whatever we have, Avinash, for us, it's the sky is the limit, because we can go disrupt anybody's business.
Exactly. Right. Mr. Thompson, one thing which I wanted to understand, now from your trying to tap new segments, create new revenue streams. So can I safely assume that next at least couple of years is going to be a period where you all are going to invest in these growth areas, and possibly the fruits of all these investments could be visible, maybe post FY25? Can I take this as a reasonable assumption from your side?
Absolutely. I think next financial year, which is 23, will be a very important year, Avinash, because all our hard parallel, the fruit of this labor will start coming out in terms of order book, revenue mix change, and better forecast and output, which will be languishing with low GM businesses, currently what we inherited. Definitely all in GM business. So once the mix changes, you'll start seeing that change, because all the business we are doing is all 50% GM business. This is the new ones, I'm telling you.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
So fine. I think that is really encouraging news. Finally, my last question, Mr. Thompson, is that, what would be your broad message to the ups and downs? And I think with a very strong, leadership from your side, I think things definitely would turn positive. But from your side, what would be the kind of message you would like to tell them? Because, people are waiting patiently. They remember the old glorious days of this company, and definitely, with all the hard work and efforts which you have put in, I'm quite sure that going forward, things will turn better. But from your side, can we assume that over the next, say, 1 or 2 years, we could see
want to say is, first of all, thanks a lot for everybody, for staying with us in our good times or bad times or ups and downs. Multiple. There are so many variables which our investors have gone through with us, especially the ones who have been with us for a long time. And there are a lot of new also start. So this journey is a journey which we have to walk together. So I love what you said initially. This company is something where we are fundamentally strengthening the organization. This is not for technical analysis. Let's be very clear about it. We are now fixing the fundamentals of the company, fixing the base platform. We keep this fundamental platform will keep starting moving up. That's the way we want to build this company. That is one. Second, once we do that, we need to build a predictable business. There's no surprises for all of us, actually. So that is what we want to bring. We want to bring the highest level of transparency. So that's what we are putting together, a global risk and compliance team. We are building all this. So it's not a question of just statutory compliance or whatever. We want to build a world-class organization, which is really great on global risk and compliance. So we want to build that. Finally, if you look at it, all of us are professional entrepreneurs. It's a huge responsibility on all of us, me and my management team, which we carry. Because as what I would say is, I need all their support. This is a journey. I think we can build a great new organization together with all their support.
Anyway, I think Mr. Thompson, thank you very much for your time. And I think viewers, if you do like the video, please share it with your Thompson. Thank you very much and all the best for your journey ahead. We'll definitely keep in touch in future also.
Thank you, Avinash. Thanks a lot. Thanks everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.